A word about the Irish. The Irish, they were a stubborn lot, you might say. Like I say, the Irish, one time I paid the Irish some gold to go build a water system in Mexico. They went to Mexico, and like I said, there was the federales, there was the Mexicans. The Irish didn't let anyone get in their way. They went in, they were paid to do a job, and they did that job. And nobody got in their way. The old luck of the Irish. The Irish were a good stuff. I love like I say, I love my Irish. My Irish were a group that I could say, I need this to be done. And sometimes I would even say, I need this to be done by this point in time, because otherwise, if you don't, then people are going to starve because there's not enough food. And the Irish, they wouldn't let anyone get in their way. They would use pickaxes, they would use whatever it took to get the job done, but they would get the job done, no matter whether they got paid or not. Like I said, the Irish people, they're a proud lot, and they have every right to be, because they didn't let the government get in the way, they didn't let the cops get in their way, they didn't let other races, bigger, larger than them, get in their way. Like I said, there were times like in Mexico, and also like when they were building I think it was the world's largest tower. What's it called? They were building the Empire State Building, I think. And like I said, that the city or the governor came in to tell them that they can't put it there or whatever. And there's a classic thing where the Irish are like, now this German says that building needs to go there, so we're going to put it there. I love it because I told them, I was like, listen to the Germans, or the German. And the German engineers were out there and they were like, and they were, they had their little slide rules and they explained everything and they're like, well, it needs to go here. And so the Irish, well, like I said, the Irish are a proud and stubborn lot, and I love them very, very dearly for that. Like I say, with my gold mines, with my the Irish had been with me for a very long time. So when I asked them to go do something, well, they generally knew that money, prosperity, and a better life would follow, regardless. So they would go, and they would see what they could do, and my Germans would go with them. Like I said, I had these groups that would wander around together. My Irish, my Germans, my British. We kind of like all banded together, and then later on my Chinese, and we were like this family, this band of strangers. Working together, and like I said, the Empire State Building, and a lot of these epic projects, projects that later on your children will be like, you worked on that? It's like, yeah, they worked on that. I paid them gold, the water system in Mexico. They put in a big steel pipeline in Mexico that supplied water to some town, some city in Mexico. Built it all. The Irish built it all, and they also did the Empire State Building as well. The Irish, because Ireland had mid-grade steel. They had a bunch of coal in Ireland, and they were mining it like crazy, and then we were smelting it into steel. And so the Irish and British, I think it was Irish and British, with some German help in there. Like I said, the Germans were always around. The Germans had done lots of things, way back in time. And so they were basically experts. They had the highest level of education possible. They smelted their own steel. The Germans knew everything about everything, basically. And so they were working with the British and also the Irish. And they would, like I said, my Germans would just explain everything. They'd be like, well, this equals this, and this is why this has to be like this, just like me. So like I would tell my Germans, I'd be like, just explain it, and in a way that they can understand, like this, And then after a while, the Irish were like, well, he says it's got to go there, it's got to be like this. So they would just do it. And the Irish, they were a proud lot and a good lot. Some of my best people were Irish. Like I think even the Unsinkable Molly, or whatever, Molly May or whatever. She was this cook or whatever. She was an Irish girl, stubborn, or something like that. I forget exactly what the details were, but yeah, the Irish. when they were building the Empire State Building, the state or some landlord was like blah 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 blah. You need to pay me a cut, whatever. And they were like, no, no, we don't. And they because I had paid them gold to go build that building, and they were building it for me, so they built it, and then they left, and they got paid a fair amount for it. Actually, I paid them before they went and built it. Anyway, yeah. I mean, we had I had fed the Irish too. I had given them potatoes or gotten them potatoes or something like that, and they had grown them. And there was a problem with it with the ground freezing in Ireland or something like that. The farmland wasn't good enough, or it was frozen or something, so we had to import from somewhere else. Like I said, there's lots of times in Ireland and Russia where there was like a grain blight, or there was like a climate change basically caused a lot of people to freeze to death, and there's also a lot of close calls where like people died, or like the train barely got there in time. But like I said, I had trained my crews. I had told my crews, you have to get into those towns. We have to. The train has to run. If the train doesn't run, then those people are going to freeze and die. And sometimes it was okay where the trains got there, and it's like, well, they're fine. And sometimes the trains got there just in time as the people, they were going to freeze, or they were going to die, or they were running out of coal. Because I told my trained people they knew that coal has to get there. If that coal doesn't get there, then those people are going to run out of wood and freeze to death. So anyway, because some of the towns, they were too big. They only had some coal supplies for like 3 or 4 days. After that, like I said, they had found trains where the people were huddled around the trains, and the trains finally ran out of coal, or the water swamped the trains. 30 people dead, 60 people dead. Or like that one train, they missed it somehow. It was covered up by an avalanche. And the people would have lived, but they didn't. And I had the planes flying. They should have seen the train, but they didn't. They just didn't look that far, or look there. So anyway, though, people understood that basically my safety procedures were there for a reason. Lucifer Star. And, we saved lives. Everything that we did, everything that I wanted them to do, that I paid them to do, it was done for a reason. So, and, I think we saved more lives than anything else, despite all the war and everything else. But that was mostly just like people going psycho. Race war with the blacks, the black South Africans. They were trying to take over the world or whatever. I'm not exactly sure. Like North Africa, there was the Germans and the British, they know all about it. It's like the Queen found herself in trouble, and there was lots of other stuff that happened over the years. So anyway, though, but I love the Irish, and I love my British, and I love my Germans, and I also love my Chinese. Like I remember they were working very hard, printing like crazy, and we did this big thing in China where like education and printing and all that other stuff, and very good people, like I say.